Preparing stream. All right, so we're going live on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. Going live on Periscope. Yes, we're live on Periscope. Flick it on over so we can see some questions. What a dance I do here, Christophe.
You're amazing.
And this is regarding 365. Daryl is a service here, and talking with Christophe Fiessigner, good friend and all-round nice guy from Microsoft. How are you, Christophe?
Very good. Thanks for inviting me on your show.
And so we were just talking before we went live about some of the trail runs you do. I'm connected via Instagram, and I see a bit on that other app that tells you how much you do or don't run. You're really busy in the trail running sense.
Yeah, this is definitely not a 365 question, but one of my passion in the past few years has been to do those long distance run. And I do have a personal goal to do a race called UTMB, which is a race in Europe around Mont Blanc, which is a big mountain spanning Italy, France, and Switzerland. And to do that race, you need a certain number of qualifying points. And so I got to do all those races to pretend to even register for that event. So actually, I've been doing all those training runs, but the funny anecdote is right before Ignite, literally the Saturday before Ignite, I have my last 100-miler race. It's in Oregon and Mount Hood, and that takes about 24 hours, and I'll come home and change, and then I'll catch a red-eye flight to Orlando. So for those of you that are going to be in Orlando in 10 days, Christophe might be walking slowly.
Yeah, real stiff like, I am sure.
Very stiff, yeah.
Yeah, and we'll have to ask you later about some of your recovery tips, because soaking in some, I don't know, grape juice or something to try and help muscles. Wow. But yeah, you're getting back onto Ignite, and it's awesome. It's just around the corner, and your team has been quite busy. Now, I wanted to ask you and to clarify for your team, you're in the Office 365 group space, and you also work with the Outlook group's experience. So tell us a little about the difference or the overlaps and similarities there.
Yeah. So at a high level, let's leave aside Christophe. We're part of the Office engineering team, and our vice president for that is Rajesh, who reports to Satya. And one of the business unit within Office is obviously Outlook. And that's where our team sits. And so within Outlook, which, as you imagine, it's a very broad product span, because it spans consumers, enterprise, and lots of different endpoints. But our team charter is twofold. Not only we're responsible for Office 365 groups, the substrate, that magic glue that's every teamwork app is built on, whether it's Teams or whether it's Streams or whether it's Yammer or SharePoint, Outlook, and yada, yada, yada. So that's the first thing we manage. And the second thing we own is obviously delivering an awesome email collaboration experience, which is what we call groups in Outlook. So, for the folks that love their Outlook, whether it's the desktop Outlook, the web, the mobile, and want to work with others, we strongly believe that, it's not that we believe it's a big ask from our customers to keep innovating and make sure that this experience is modern, and that's a second charter for our teams.
Yeah, team, group, etc. But yeah, no, that's awesome. That really places it well, and I think that the messaging around what is an Outlook group, what is an Office 365 group has become a lot clearer. There was a lot of groundwork laid, and I do remember last year, the big overview sessions we discussed that. So yeah, we have a lot more on the scene, and so as you've said, Office 365 groups is underneath Teams, underneath Yammer, and it's really that glue. So you've got a couple of sessions that you're going to be presenting or participating in. I'm just going to bring some of them up on screen. But one of them is it looks to be a massive Ask Us Anything panel. So here's a couple of Christophe sessions. And so it's the Exchange and Outlook Mega Ask the Experts. That's a few paces on stage there. But your role in that one, Christophe?
Yeah, so again, like, let's not just make this Christophe specific, but to back to your point again, there's two themes that there's a couple of goals obviously we want to achieve at the conference, and then we'll talk about the session. But the first one is actually what you were mentioning earlier. We want people to have a good understanding of what is Office 365 Groups, how does it fit in our roll-up teamwork suite of offering, and then obviously talk about how can you use Outlook for email collaboration. Obviously, I'll have peers that will talk about Teams and SharePoint and Yammer and so forth. So to your point, like, we really wanted people to come with a crisp understanding of the difference. Obviously, we've seen confusion there in the marketplace or from our customers. Is Teams replacing groups? Obviously, no, Teams is based on groups. Is Teams replacing Outlook? No, we don't think so. We think there's different tools for different use case. Or is Yammer going away? Absolutely not. All those are key offerings that we continue to invest, and each has different purposes in life. This particular, so with that, we got literally we've got 12 sessions that our teams are directly involved as speakers. And for instance, the one you're pointing, we obviously typically of those events, we have Ask the Experts. And in this case, definitely encourage everyone, this is because it's Ask the Experts. There could be lots of random questions, but the goal here, you get a panel of every engineering lead basically on the Outlook team that will answer hopefully your top of mind. So, you have folks with different expertise, or some of my peers here in Redmond with different expertise. So definitely prepare your Outlook and exchange questions, and we'll try to answer them the best we can.
And that second session really is I guess, where we're heading with that deeper understanding of Office 365 groups, the overview, the roadmap. So it feels a bit funny. You've got the Ask Me Anything beforehand, but that's cool. We'll come along to the overview afterwards.
Yeah, last year the Ask the Experts, which you participated, was last, and this time it's ahead of time. I think it's a double-edged sword. I also see it as an opportunity to see what are top of minds for attendees, and to make sure that we'll answer all those questions throughout the week. For instance, there's another Ask the Expert that's actually Monday night, which is specific to groups that Amit will be driving. So again, we see it as a great opportunity that hopefully the questions that will be raised Monday at that theater session are some of the questions and more that we'll answer throughout the week in all those deeper dive sessions. So yeah, to this session is definitely, obviously I'm completely objective, but this is definitely a session that we want you to attend. It's a 200, there's deeper dive sessions later on, but the goal here is really to drive, obviously what is groups, but also drive this notion of why is self-service important, and what are we doing to help you roll out groups in a controlled manner with the usual bounds on checks that IT expects from Microsoft, and that obviously some of you are legally obliged to put in place based on the industry. So definitely one you should attend. I mean, it is a 75 minutes, and this is a kind of like a part one of part two. We do have a part two the next day, which will be delivered by Mike McLean and VJ Nelson, which is at 12:30, which is a deep dive. So think of those two are tied to the hip. And I know you're going to be competing with a lot of other great sessions and speakers, but definitely you should bookmark these two if you want to get the end-to-end of what's going on with groups.
Now, I know that the SharePoint team made it nice and easy to find all the different SharePoint sessions. Do we expect to see a page like that for group sessions?
Yeah, we're actually going to be doing some social media by the end of the week. I know it's already Friday your time, but we'll publish some of those, all those sessions around groups, and there's a whole theme at Ignite, a whole track around administration, and even in the expo hall. So again, we know that most of you that will be attending Ignite are the ones that are keeping the lights on and on point to manage things. So there's a whole track on administration, all up Office 365, and that's where all our group sessions, or a big chunk of it, fit in. So there'll be a blog post that recaps all those things that you guys need to to attend and be well versed, regardless of where you are on your Office 365 journey.
Yeah, that's good to hear because as you said, there's so many different sessions running at one time that those sorts of pages and resources are good to go back on and say, what do I go back and watch? What do I go back and discuss and talk about? And I guess just segueing into that discussion part of it, the great thing that we have with these sessions within the My Ignite schedule builder and discovering sessions is that you can now click through to the tech community and either begin that conversation or afterwards you can ask, well, actually before they can ask questions of you too, can't they, Christophe? Drop them in there. Keep an eye on when the slides and the videos are available and embedded. And yeah, good place to keep that conversation going. So thank you again, Christophe, for joining us briefly. I know you've got to run. There's so much to get in line for Ignite, which is just around the corner, and you've probably maybe got a run or two to do as well. Do you run after work or beforehand?
After work these days, but
Yeah.
we'll have to squeeze in a couple early run just to get prepped. But just to go back to the Ignite, there's one call to action, obviously attend our session, and that's great. We also have a dedicated booth throughout the week, and we want to meet and have side meetings with as many of you as possible, and obviously preferably customers. So we're going to be publishing a email address where you can just request a side meeting. And again, let's leave aside Christophe. There's about 10, 15 of us from the engineering team that are well-versed, that have been working on all those key features that you've seen or been asking. So we'd love to sit down with you and hear what are you top of mind, what's blocking you from using groups, or you using groups, how can we help you take it to the next level? So there's a big ask at Ignite to have all those side meetings and face-to-face interactions in addition to being studious and attending our sessions.
Yeah, good to know. So yeah, definitely keep an eye out for the little sessions and group, I guess, input sessions. I know that sometimes those are run. You get a group of people together and get some feedback and questions. So yeah, thanks again, Christophe, and definitely keep an eye on the bigger picture there for Office 365 groups. So that was Daryl the Service signing off for Garden 365. Thanks again, Christophe, and we'll see you at Ignite.
Cheers. Thank you.
Bye, YouTube.